Yo, what's going on, guys? My name is Alex, and today we are going to go over my predictions for who I think the Western Conference reserves will be for this 2024 All-Star game. It is coming in a month. We still don't know who the starters are technically going to be, but I already did my voting for the starters, so if you want to check that out, it's somewhere on the screen. You can check it out now. But just based off that video, we're going to go straight into the reserves. And for the reserves, there are going to be 7 spots, 2 of which are going to be guards. 3 are going to be front court, and then you have 2 wild cards, so it doesn't matter what position they play. So let's get right into it. We're going to start off with the guards, and for my first 2 guards, I got Steph Curry and Anthony Edwards. Now for Steph Curry, yeah, still one of the better point guards in the league, but in terms of what he's doing this season alone, he isn't as good as he was last year, and especially in these last 5, maybe even 7 games, he has not been performing well at the time I'm recording this. In terms of the argument of him being a all-star starter, I think that's out of question, but in terms of him being a reserve, I think he's definitely played up to the standard of being a all-star. Now, with the team success, yeah, the Warriors have not been playing well at all, but I would not say that's Steph Curry's fault. You can look at Andrew Wiggins not being who he is, whether that's because he's just washed or if that's just, off the court stuff that's been happening and lingering from last season. Who knows? Shout out to Andrew Wiggins, though. Hope everything is okay. Even Klay Thompson being, inconsistent at times, but has been playing pretty decently as of late. Draymond Green, of course, we know he has not been playing. And then the young guys just getting inconsistent minutes. Chris Paul is now injured as well with a fractured hand. This Warriors team is kind of a mess, so I'm not going to blame Steph Curry for, not winning enough games. I think he's played to the level of an all-star, and for that reason, he will be one of my reserves. Next up is Anthony Edwards, having his best season of his career so far. I kind of expected this, especially since what we saw in the FIBA World Cup this summer. He has definitely been pretty much matching expectations from what people were thinking he would do this season, and the Timberwolves are at the top of the Western Conference. Yeah, no, they deserve an all-star, and Anthony Edwards is the best player on the T-Wolves, giving you around 25 points per game, some very good efficiency, and playing some great defense as well. Edwards has really proven to be one of the better 2 guards in the league, and for that reason, he will be my second reserve in the Western Conference. Let's now get into the front court, and again, we got 3 picks for this. I got Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, and Domantas Sabonis. I think you really could make an argument for Kawhi to be a starter, and if you guys didn't see my last video, a little bit of a spoiler, I had Kevin Durant, LeBron, and Jokic. I think LeBron and Jokic are pretty set there, but in terms of Durant, I think you can make the argument that Kawhi deserves to be over him into that starting lineup. The Clippers are absolutely dominating. I believe they're 17-3 at the time I'm recording this video, ever since that losing streak with James Harden, and you could probably give James Harden a lot of that credit. But dude, Kawhi Leonard has been playing great alongside him. He's been very healthy this season, barely missing any games. And again, the Clippers are winning games, so they deserve to have some all-stars on their team. Kawhi is the best player. Let's put Kawhi Leonard up there. Anthony Davis. Now, I think he is having a very, very great season. I think in the beginning of the season, people were really harping on him for being inconsistent, at least on the offensive end. But dude, what he does defensively, and at least what he's been doing offensively and defensively on both sides in the past month, I think needs more recognition, and it's hard to give him that recognition because the Lakers just aren't winning games. But I don't think that's because of LeBron or Anthony Davis. I think there is a lot of flaws to this Lakers roster. Probably more flaws than we, including me, were probably, anticipating. So if you wanted to make the argument that AD doesn't deserve to be an all-star, alongside at least LeBron because the Lakers aren't winning enough games, so they don't deserve 2 all-stars, I guess I would understand, but AD is just playing so great to the point where I find it really hard to keep him off this reserve list. And for Domantas Sabonis, it's just like last year when he was an all-star. He's playing pretty much at that exact same level, and the Kings are still winning games. I don't think Sabonis is the best player on the Kings. I think it is De'Aaron Fox, and we'll talk about him in just a second. But Sabonis, I think, is right there alongside him. He is having a great season, giving you 20, 12, leading the league in rebounds currently, and being a great facilitator as well, and dribble handoffs and things of that nature. So yeah, I think Sabonis definitely deserves to be in the spot. One of the best offensive engines in the league, and in terms of bigs, probably a top 5 big in the league. Definitely deserves to be here in my reserve spot. And now for my 2 wildcard spots. We'll start off with De'Aaron Fox. Again, I told you I was going to talk about him. De'Aaron Fox is probably having his best season of his career, giving you 30 balls night in and night out. Now, the past couple of games, at least at the time I'm recording this video, he hasn't really been playing all that great, at least compared to what he's been doing pretty much the entire regular season this year. But I'm not going to let these couple of games dictate how I truly feel about him, and he is one of the best guards in the league. Just off the top of my head right now, he is probably a top 4, top 5 point guard in the league. And again, the Kings are winning games. He's the best player on the Kings. I think he deserves a spot here. I would have mentioned him earlier if Anthony Edwards and Steph Curry didn't exist, but that's just not the case. So he's going to come here on the wild card spot, but that doesn't mean that he's less deserving of an all-star spot compared to these other guys that we've already talked about. And for the last wild card spot and the last spot on my Western Conference reserves, in terms of who I think is going to make it, this is the hardest one. We'll have some honorable mentions at the end as well. I think this last spot could be interchangeable, but I'm going to go with Paul George. A lot of the things that I've said about Kawhi Leonard could also be applied to Paul George. Ever since Harden has showed up to the Clippers and they've gone on this winning streak, Paul George has been playing some of the best basketball of his career. His shooting splits are looking absolutely fantastic. He's still scoring the ball at a very elite level, and he's playing some pretty solid defense this year, and I think that's kind of going under the radar, having all of these players around him now. He's kind of been able to take a backseat on offense and focus a little bit more on defense. The offense has come a lot easier with Harden being their lead point guard. But again, the Clippers have been winning a lot of games as of late, and I think for that reason they probably deserve 2 All-Stars. Now, we'll get into the honorable mentions, but I guess just looking at the Clippers team on its own, it would probably be between Paul George or James Harden. I honestly wouldn't hate you either way, depending on which way you leaned. I would probably just go Paul George because James Harden did show up a little bit late, so maybe the tenure comes into play here a little bit. But again, if you had Harden ahead of PG, I would not blame you. I really wouldn't. And now for the honorable mentions for the Western Conference, of course, we have James Harden. He's been playing fantastic. After that losing stretch, when he first joined the Clippers, he's been really great. One of the best playmakers, passers in the league, still being a great scorer, a great shooter. Now we get to the point where I'm like, yeah, I'm probably going to pick PG, but I think these guys deserve a little bit of love. Zion Williamson has stayed relatively healthy this year. The Pelicans have actually been winning a good amount of games this year, but I would say Zion, in terms of like what I was expecting, has been a little bit of a disappointment. The one year he did make the All-Star team, but was pretty much injured for the rest of the year. That was probably his best season. I don't think this is one of his better seasons, so unfortunately, the Western Conference is just so stacked. I don't think he makes the cut, but he's been having a great season, even though he has, I guess, maybe underperformed what I was expecting him to do. Alfred Sengun, again, the Rockets have not been doing too great, but Alfred Sengun is the best player on that team. I was honestly considering replacing Sabonis with Sengun, but just in terms of a numbers aspect and just game for game, I think Sabonis is the better player right now. But I am very high on Sengun, and I think he will at some point be an all-star in his career. He is a great offensive player. He's Jokic light. He's on a very similar tier as Sabonis, I would say. But again, there's just so many talented players in the West that I just don't think he makes the cut. Devin Booker is another guy that I think you could replace with Paul George, but I think Paul George has low-key been playing better. Booker had a little bit of a stretch that he wasn't playing all too well. But again, the Suns haven't been playing all too well as well. And Kevin Durant, I already think, is an all-star. I don't know if Booker has played good enough for me to think that he's an all-star. He also missed a good amount of games in the beginning of the season. And then just for fun, I think Wemby maybe should get some all-star consideration. He's been playing really good, especially as of late, scoring 20 points per game on very limited minutes. And I guess you could potentially throw in Chet as well, depending on if you think the Thunder are so good that they deserve 2 all-star spots. Even Karl Anthony Towns. He's been a little bit inconsistent this year as well, but the Timberwolves have also been really good. So maybe they deserve 2 all-stars as well. But there you have it. Those are my Western Conference predictions, and at least my personal picks for who I think will be the reserves this year for the all-star game. Let me know down below what y'all think. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and sub. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs by my birthday in June, so please help me out. Make sure to check out my socials down below in the description. You can also check out this video somewhere on the screen. Anyways, I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.